Hello, this is Dr. D, and today we are going to talk about fetal circulation. So hopefully you understand that the fetal circulation is not going to be same as the adult or afterbirth circulation. All right, so let's look at the adaptations real quick. All right, so here we are seeing abdominal aorta coming down, and from the abdominal aorta we have something called the internal iliac artery. From the internal iliac artery, blood is coming down the aorta via the internal iliac artery, and we are going to see the first modification, that is number 1, and we are seeing umbilical artery. The umbilical artery is going to bring the blood in the fetus, not us, okay, to a structure called the placenta. So the placenta basically is a structure which is formed between the mother and the fetus. So here's the mother, here's the fetus. So basically the fetus inserts finger-like projections into the maternal blood in the uterus walls, and this forms a structure called the what? The placenta. All right. So here blood is being brought in, what did I say? By the umbilical what? Artery, right? I'm just going to write short form, and this is coming down from the what? From the internal iliac artery. Now, of course, blood is going to get oxygenated here. The umbilical artery is bringing deoxygenated blood. So blood that is leaving the placenta via what? Umbilical vein is modification number 2. So here, so umbilical vein is going to carry what? Oxygenated blood, right? So here's getting oxygenated blood. Now, when the blood is being taken back, it has, remember, it's coming, this has a choice of going into the liver. So it has a choice of going into the liver. All right. So here, so it should enter the liver, right? But what happens is instead the blood is shunted to, because if it goes into the liver, remember, it has to go through all the arteries, the veins, the capillaries, etc., etc. So instead, it enters now into another blood vessel, and here this is called the inferior vena cava, right here. And this, the blood is shunted, and this is called the what? The ductus venosus. This is the shunt. So ductus venosus, I'm looking for the ductus venosus, is modification number 3. So the blood, the oxygenated blood, instead of going to the liver, goes through the ductus venosus into this collecting blood vessel. And what is this called? The IVC, the inferior vena cava. Where does the inferior vena cava take the blood? The inferior vena cava takes the blood always to the right atrium, right? So we are seeing the blood is coming to the right atrium. What do we also know? That the blood will go into the right ventricle and then will enter into the what? Into the lungs, right? So here it is going to go into the lungs through the pulmonary artery. But don't forget, the lungs are full of what? Water. So here what happens is the lungs are surrounded by water, and there's a lot of pressure, very high pressure on the lungs, pressed down on a pipe. So if the blood flows here, will it be able to go through the lungs? Answer is no, absolutely not, because the lungs are filled with fluid. So absolutely the blood cannot pass through. Instead, there's a hole in here from the right atrium into the left atrium. Directly you can see is a hole, and this hole will allow this passage of blood directly from the right atrium into the left atrium, and this is called the foramen ovale. Okay, so this is modification number what? So here is the modification number 4. Now what happens is that in spite of the high pressure, some amount of blood may leak into the right ventricle and therefore into the pulmonary artery. But remember, under no circumstance can it enter the lung, because the lung is full of fluid, right? We know that. Now, so what happens is, remember, the blood is going into the left atrium and the left ventricle and coming out through what? Through the aorta, yes? You remember that? So here what happens is, now there's a second shunt which will carry the blood that is leaked from where? from the pulmonary artery into the aorta. And what is this called? This is called ductus arteriosus. Ductus arteriosus, I'll circle it for you. And so here, this is modification number what? 5. So it carries the blood from where? Pulmonary artery into the aorta. This is the aorta coming down. All right, so here is my what? Is my 5th modification. So basically, these modifications are no longer present in us. This is a very short presentation. I hope you've understood. Without going into too much of serious detail, this is all that you need to know, especially the modification, the 5 modifications that we've gone through. All right, I thank you for listening to me, and if there are questions or concerns, please let me know. Thank you. Have a good day.